There's a Japanese word, just 6 letters, called Ikigai. And this single word might explain why some people reach 100 years old feeling deeply happy and fulfilled, while others spend their whole lives wandering, feeling hollow inside. In this video, I want to share how this ancient Japanese principle helped me finally find purpose in my own life. But before we dive in, if this kind of content speaks to you, please subscribe, leave a like, and hit the bell so you never miss what's coming next. Okay, now let's get into it. Here's something that stopped me in my tracks when I first learned it. On the island of Okinawa, Japan, there are more people over 100 years old per square kilometer than anywhere else on Earth, and their secret, it's not genetics, it's not some special diet, it runs so much deeper than that. They carry something within them that 90% of people in the Western world have simply never found. And when I finally understood what that something was, my entire life shifted. For years, I had been chasing things, goals, achievements, money, checking boxes. But underneath all of it, there was always this quiet, nagging feeling that something was missing. Have you ever felt that? That strange emptiness that creeps in even when, by every measure, things are going well. I lived in that feeling for a long time. Then one day I stumbled across this ancient Japanese philosophy, Ikigai. And the moment I truly understood what it meant, it was like someone finally switched on a light in a room I'd been fumbling through in the dark for years. But here's something you need to sit with before we go further. Do you know how many people actually feel fulfilled by the work they do every day? Just 13%. Only a global survey found that 87% of people on this planet spend 8 hours a day doing something that brings them no real sense of meaning. And year after year, rates of depression and anxiety keep climbing, despite all our technology, all our convenience, all our comfort. Why? Because somewhere along the way we lost something essential, something that certain people in Japan never let go of. And I'm not talking about a productivity hack or a morning routine. I'm talking about Ikigai. This word doesn't translate neatly into English, but it points to something like your reason for being, what makes life feel worth living. Now here's where it gets interesting. Ikigai is not about finding your passion. It's not about chasing your dreams. It is absolutely not just do what you love. In fact, the way the Western world has interpreted Ikigai is almost entirely wrong, and that distortion has created more confusion than clarity. The moment anyone mentions Ikigai over here, those 4 overlapping circles appear immediately, right? What you love, what you're good at, what the world needs, what you can be paid for. But here's the thing. That diagram was invented by an American life coach. It has nothing to do with the original Japanese philosophy. Nothing, and that was the first hard lesson I had to accept. We in the West have this compulsive need to turn everything into a formula, a system, something we can optimize and shortcut. But Ikigai doesn't bend to that. In Japan, Ikigai is something far more quiet and intimate. It's about finding genuine joy in small, everyday things. It's about waking up in the morning and having a simple but real reason to get out of bed. That reason might be tending your garden. It might be making breakfast for the people you love. It might be waving to your neighbors on the way out the door. I once heard a story from a researcher who spent years living among Okinawan centenarians. He met a 98-year-old man who every single day without fail walked to the beach to pick up trash. When asked what his Ikigai was, the man simply said, "To keep my beach clean for the generations who come after me." That's it. No grand career, no legacy project, just a quiet, daily act of contribution. And it gave his life complete meaning. That story broke something open in me, because I had been searching for my Ikigai in the big things, the perfect career, the dream job, the project that would make a dent in the universe. But my real Ikigai had been hiding in the details I kept walking past without noticing. And the moment I stopped searching so hard and started actually paying attention, everything changed. But hold on, because there's another layer to this that genuinely floored me. There's a Japanese concept called moi, and it's deeply connected to Ikigai. A moi is a group of friends that forms in childhood and stays together for life. They meet regularly. They support one another through the good and the painful. And here's what the research shows: people who belong to a moi live on average 7 years longer than those who go through life in isolation. 7 years. Because Ikigai isn't something you uncover alone. It's something you build in community, through real relationships, through genuine connection. And here in the West, our greatest struggle is our obsession with doing everything alone. We've romanticized the self-made individual, the person who needs no one, who climbs every mountain solo. But this is the exact opposite of what Japanese philosophy teaches. An anthropologist who spent 15 years studying the world's longest living communities found a pattern that appeared everywhere. From Okinawa to the mountains of Sardinia, people in their 90s still playing active roles in their communities, still contributing, still needed. His finding was simple but radical. The secret isn't to retire and step back from life. It's to keep finding ways to be useful, right up until your very last day. And that made me look around at the people I know. How many of them retired and then quietly seemed to fade, as if losing their role had cost them their reason for existing? This happens because our culture treats work and life as 2 separate things. You work to earn the right to live, then you retire and finally start living. But in the world of Ikigai, the divide doesn't exist. Your reason for being doesn't expire at 65. That realization cracked something open in me. I saw how much of my identity I had built on titles, positions, external validation, and I asked myself, if all of that disappeared tomorrow, who would I actually be? That question haunted me for weeks, so I decided to run an experiment. 30 days of trying to live the true spirit of Ikigai. No diagrams, no formulas, no life hacks. Just quiet, honest attention to the small things that gave me real satisfaction. What I found surprised me completely. My Ikigai wasn't in my work. It wasn't in my big ambitions. It was in 15 minutes of watering the plants on my balcony every morning. It was in the moment I helped a friend understand something they'd been struggling with. It was in cooking a meal for someone I care about. Small acts, small connections, small real moments. And then I discovered something about the word itself that brought it all together. Ikigai is made of two parts: Iki, meaning life, and Gai, meaning value or effect. Literally the effect your life has on the world. And that effect doesn't have to be enormous. It doesn't have to reshape history. It can be the effect you have on one person, on your neighborhood, on your family. But it has to be real. It has to come from somewhere genuine inside you. This is why so many people who achieve every financial goal they ever set still feel empty. They hit all the numbers, but they lost their connection to Ikigai somewhere along the way. The Japanese have an expression, Ikigai wo mitsuketa. I have found my reason for living. Not I chose it. Not I built it, found it, as if it were always there, quietly waiting for you to slow down enough to notice it. And that's the real enemy of Ikigai. Not failure, not hardship, rush, the relentless, exhausting rush to grow faster, earn more, achieve bigger, become someone important. Ikigai operates on a completely different clock. In Japan, there's a practice called hansi, deep, unhurried reflection. A genuine pause to examine your actions, your values, the impact you're having. When did you last sit quietly for an hour? No phone, no noise, no agenda, and simply think about your life. I know it sounds wasteful. Time is money, right? But this mindset is quietly hollowing us out. The Japanese also speak of mono no aware, the gentle awareness of impermanence, the understanding that everything passes, nothing holds its shape forever, and so each moment deserves to be lived with full presence. It's not melancholy, it's wisdom. And when I started applying it, something unexpected happened. I became more creative, more focused, more at peace, not by pushing harder, but by finally being aligned with something larger than my own ambitions. A Japanese psychologist who devoted over 2 decades to studying Ikigai once said something I've never forgotten. Ikigai is not something you possess, it is something you cultivate. Like a garden, it needs daily tending, steady attention, and the patience to let things grow. That's why so many people give up before they find it. They're waiting for a lightning bolt, one dramatic revelation that changes everything overnight. But Ikigai doesn't arrive that way. It's a daily practice of showing up and asking, how can I contribute today? How can I be useful? How can I add something real to the world around me? The answers are often humbler than you'd expect, and more powerful for it. Now here's the part that might feel contradictory, but it's one of the most freeing things I've learned. Your Ikigai may have absolutely nothing to do with your career, and that is completely okay. I know an executive who runs a multinational company and found his Ikigai teaching underprivileged kids to play chess on weekends. I know a woman who spent her life as a homemaker and found her deepest purpose caring for abandoned dogs. I know a retiree who discovered his reason for living by folding origami figures for hospital patients. Society has sold us a story: find your passion and make it your career. Turn what you love into how you earn. But that can be a trap. Sometimes the most honest, grounded thing you can do is let your work be your work and find your Ikigai somewhere else entirely. That doesn't make you less than anyone. It makes you more whole. Because Ikigai isn't about being extraordinary, it's about being genuinely, unapologetically yourself. So after everything, all the searching, all the shifting, all the quiet revelations, what is the single most important truth I've learned about Ikigai? You don't have to turn the world upside down to find your purpose. It might already be living inside the things you do without even thinking. In the moments that fill you with quiet satisfaction. In the small ways you show up for the people around you that go entirely unnoticed by anyone else. Maybe your Ikigai is the coffee you make with care every morning. Maybe it's the way you really listen when a friend needs to be heard. Maybe it's how you tend your plants or the patience you show when you're teaching someone something new. The world will never stop pressuring you to be exceptional, to disrupt something, to leave a mark. But Ikigai whispers something far more tender and far more true. There is profound beauty in being ordinary, with purpose. Stop searching for your reason for existing out there somewhere. Start cultivating it right here, every day, with patience, with attention, with gratitude. Because Ikigai is not a destination you arrive at, it's the way you choose to walk. And have you ever really stopped to pay attention to the way you walk through your days?